All right, why don't we kick it off to our participants over here in this discussion? All right, let's start from there, and then we'll jump straight into what you really need to hear today morning. All right, take it away.
Hey guys, we are Mason and Allie Eddy. We are out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are proudly mentored, sponsored, loved, carried through Diapers Changed by Eddie and Cassie Kutnick. And I have a background in IT project management, played college athletics, and played at a pretty high level, tried to go overseas and play, and got around this environment and just decided this was my new sport, this was my new endeavor. This was where I was gonna get the butterflies in the belly and get out there and perform.
And I started the business as a student studying psychology at 19, walked into this room, very intimidated, but very attracted to the people and where they were going. I worked my way into corporate HR, spent about 6 years there.
Hello everyone, good morning. We are Anand and Pushpa, myself Pushpa. I work as a product owner in major financial company.
Good morning everybody. We are Anand and Pushpa from Dallas, Texas. We are personally launched with this program by our good friends Vidya and Rama, and we are part of Check and Uma Kakani team. By background, I'm an engineer and I've been working several years. You don't want to know how long I've been working. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. We are excited about that, and we are excited to be here along with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today for the discussion. What we wanted to talk about is one very, very important thing of developing your communication skills for one purpose, to get better in all aspects of your life. All right? And the cool thing over here is we have a platform here where not only can you learn, but also implement, right? So when you are talking to people out there, how is your communication skills, right? When I started, I didn't have any of that. And if you see me up here and you're thinking, man, he can talk a little bit good, I was way leagues behind. So when you see some people over here on stage and you are thinking, man, they can do it, but I can't, trust me, you just go through the motions, listen to what they have to say, try to implement it, and suck a lot, and you'll get better, and you'll be on stage. All right? What we'll do is kick it off. I'll kick it off to Mason and Ali over here. Let's just start off with what can people over here do just when they're talking to the prospects, right? Or dropping messages or anything that they can do to improve their communication skills so they can have a better influence on them.
Yeah, I think I'll kick off with a couple thoughts. Thanks, Joel, and if you guys want to chime in, you can. I think that we a lot of us are under the assumption that the hard part of this business is finding people, right? The finding the right people. And I'd say actually the hard side of this business is us learning how to connect with people. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, one of the fascinating things that I see with Joel and Nasha and people that are at your level in the business, is that you guys are CEOs of multi-million-dollar organizations, yet you're connecting with the intern, the brand new partners. And this is something you don't see in corporate America. You don't see that level of communication. And I think we've all heard it's not what it's how you feel. What I want to talk about specifically that we've had to work on quite a bit in our communication is it's not about being heard. Am I being heard? It's am I feeling heard? And when I talk about feeling heard, this is a big thing. If you have a temperament like mine, which is a bit more like type A, get things done, when I tend to communicate an idea or a concept, or if I'm listening to somebody and I say, oh, I understand you, there's a big difference between, and look at my face, I understand you, versus I understand you. I understand you, Allie. I understand you, Jolent. And toning down and learning how to slow down. The last thing I'll say in terms of communication that we've had to work on, and I want to give some context to this, but it's the power of what we call the pause. And we have an incredible upline, Eddie and Cassie Kutnick, and Eddie Kutnick is the master of this. But it's when you're in communication, slowing down and pausing. And what the pause does is it gives the person you're in communion with, communication, an opportunity to respond and think. I believe the reason we're scared to do this, and if you're going to write something down, if I believe if you're, anything I'm saying, this might be helpful, is because we're afraid to give up control in the conversation. And so we're afraid to pause and slow down because we're afraid of, hey, if we give up control, they're going to say something, they're going to ask a question, they're going to take over, and we don't know how to regain control of that conversation.
And what that naturally does is if you're over talking, it wards people off, right? Because they don't have a chance to actually like feel like Mason was saying that you're listening to them, you're there to connect. I think a lot of us walk into this room maybe with a bit of a history of being gifted in different areas. And what becomes really challenging is when we suck at building a skill like this. We look at hard and we think it equals bad. And I really had to shift my perspective in that first year of hard is good. I have to be willing to lean in. And for many years of my journey, I was a musician for, basically my whole life. I leaned into and rode on my talents. And I'll tell you, you will not be able to get to this level in business by just riding on talents. You can either wing it or you can work for it. And when it came to our communication, even to this day in our influencing of people, we've really had to be intentional about working at it.
Awesome. You know what? I'd like to jump in on what you just started off with. That is incredible. I'm going to relate back to what I had learned through my own experiences. There was a time when I was not sure about a lot of things. I would just rattle off things. Right? That was a way of dumping everything that I heard in the TEs, from the stage, from people. So when I'm in front of prospects, I would be going at 100 miles per hour and not giving the chance for the other person to even listen in or chime in because I had to regurgitate everything, right? And that worked. It was a disadvantage for me. When he said, take a pause, I had to learn that whenever I'm making a statement, I have to also observe where his mindset is. So if I'm not pausing, right, at the right points, for example, I'm putting in a value addition statement over there, right? Now I'm pausing and seeing whether he's or she is twitching. Man, I want that. I'm looking for that energy to just bubble up. If it did, then I know I can continue down that path. But if I don't pause, right? I miss that beat, and I'm just going down the path, and that's it. I miss the whole train. Right?
That's it. Yeah, that's such a crucial point. And it's what it gives you an opportunity to do is respond, see what their response is. And I don't pause. I have no idea what their thinking is. But if I pause and I'm patient, I observe. It tells me everything. Craig Klickner used to say all the time, they just showed their cards. If you've played cards, they just flipped over their hand and they showed you everything. You guys have any thoughts?
All right, if you see us now and we see us when we started, you have no idea how we started. In fact, you know what? We have to practice everything what we are going to speak, whether it is a small meeting or it's a one-on-one or, in years, everywhere. So we came too far, learning all these things, Chekanduma and our appliance Vidya and Rama always says, if you want to grow as a leader, you need to improve on your communication, right? And there are a lot of skills you need to learn, but this is very, very important. And communication starts with the DTM. This is the first thing what you do is a messaging, drop the message. Either you do handshake or the message you drop, doesn't matter. But that's where you start the effective communication starts from there. And it's a lifelong. Chekanduma, in fact, when they are launching us, they told that Anand, do you know, right? This is going to be a lifelong journey. They gave me that vision right there. And since then, and our journey started, and of course, we had to learn a lot of things. In fact, if I talk about Pushpa, she doesn't want to come anywhere because she has a fear of talking to people. Forget about stage fear, right? Today, seeing her on the stage like this, I'm very, very proud of her and many people. She inspired many people in the team. You want to say something about that?
I believe, we have to build people first, then build the business later, right? And also, when we carry this kind of mindset, we can communicate effectively by understanding them, where they are coming from. And also, it really projects with our words and actions and intentions and the body language as well. It's not what we say, but how much we care.
Right.
Guys,
Another,
yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead. When you get done, I want to add something to the point of what you were saying.
Sure. Another aspect of communication is listening, all right? That's very important too. We didn't have, it's like a file not found for us, okay? Either we keep silence or whenever we get a chance, we talk, we don't listen. And many situations, many times, both the parties only want to talk. But what we have to understand is, courage is not about you stand up and talk, but it also sit down and listen, right? Effective communication is all about listening. There is only one rule: listening. When you listen, really you can do effective communication. And we have a great example in our upline. Vidyarama is so patient, and the way they conduct, conversation, I don't think any books can even teach you, or any videos can teach you, or anything. That's a great example right there. And our upline Chakanuma, and when they listen, even pin drop, anything pin drop sound also they can catch while you're speaking. So we have a great example, and we listen, we learn a lot from them by seeing that example. So listening is very crucial, and that will create good communication. Poor communication ruins your results and even relationships too.
See, when you're talking about caring, right, guys, I remember when I was new, like Jwalant was saying, you like to regurgitate information. You're listening to these guys talk about listening and hearing and all of these things. You have to understand a lot of what we do today has come through trial and error, right? There's a difference between information and experience. What you're hearing today is a lot of information. But how do you take that information and go out and convert it into experiences? By failing a lot, right? And the way you fail is you start to tell your upline, hey, you know what? I'm going to get into the driver's seat and I'm going to start to try some of these things out. I want you to get really, really good at sucking at this, right? Craig and Carrie always talk about it. Get good at sucking, right? That's what it is. The more you do, the more you start to realize, the more awareness you bring to the topic in mind. And you're like, you know what? Once you have awareness, you can put intentionality behind it and change who you are. See, you don't have to be like Mason and Ali. You don't have to be like Anand and Pushpa or Jwalant and me. You can be you. You're going to suck at being any version of any one of us. But you can be really good at being the best version of yourself by going out there, making mistakes, knowing that if you've been in this room, if you've been in the business for more than 90 days, you know more than anybody else outside. So when you sit down across the table from somebody and you're sharing this opportunity and you're talking about your vision and your values, understand that you are in charge. They don't know this. They have not been privy to being in this room and are able to kind of rub that off you and give you the opportunity to do the same thing.
Asha, it's so true. It's not so much, especially when we're newer in this environment, it's not about the value, why we need to read and listen so we can bring value to a conversation. But it's the value that you're attached to that's way more. Staying with you guys today, right? Are you talking about Rashmi and Smita, or are you talking about yourselves mostly?
Rashmi and Smita.
Rashmi and Smita. Why? Because it's about the value that you're attached to that matters. The other thing, I loved what you said about, and I think this is the thing, a lot of times we're in this room and we talk about mindset, and I think that's what they call the art of becoming good at something, the mindset. But the science is the reps and the numbers. And you were talking backstage about how many things you've messed up and screwed up and the flops you had and the embarrassing moments you've had. But we've all been through that. And that's actually what grows our self-image, is when we come through that.
True, absolutely. Now, a couple of things over here, the values portion of it, right? How are you going to deliver it as well will go a long way. And I'll give you this example. When I'm talking about, out of the blue, right, pickleball, you'll see me giving information. But when I'm talking about cricket, it's a completely different energy. Now, some of you may not know what cricket is.
Voice.
It's the passion in me that just comes out, and it's just going to show. Almost to the point that you will want to play cricket with me, right? Now, obviously, when you're talking to people about this opportunity, we don't want to play cricket, but can you talk about your vision? Why did you get attracted to this opportunity? What is it that makes you tick? What is it that made you come from your house to Dallas to sit here and listen to these crazy people over here? What is it? As long as you can write it down and then verbalize it, with that passion, when you are out there with people, you will catch their attention. But when you're delivering it, there's a few other things that you have to keep in mind as well. Are you catching their attention through your tonality, right? We spoke about that a little bit here. Vary the tonality. Don't be a monotonous person, because if I start talking in this monotonous level,
We're going to put you to bed.
you're going to go to sleep, right? So vary the pitch, vary the intensity. These are all skills that you have to develop when you're talking to people if you want to catch their attention. Even the speed. If I start talking slowly, you will want to take my skin off me, right? But if I'm talking fast, and I love it, when she starts talking, you will see me shut up. I just love the passion she just brings forth, because I know that itself, yeah, ladies, give it up for her. When she starts talking, I love listening to her. But that's the passion. That it only comes when you increase the speed a little, when you bring it from your heart.
I'm going to just switch it up a little bit, right? As you're having conversations, you come across a lot of people, and I know you hear audios and we talk about posture, right? And there's something that's over posturing, right? So I want you guys to maybe take some time and talk about posture, and we'll kind of, add something to it as well.
Well, yeah, I just want to give one example on what you're talking about too, because everyone has to find their lane and refine themselves in that lane. But I noticed a change with Mason. We have a home office, obviously, where he runs business meetings. And I noticed I wasn't hearing his voice as loudly anymore. And what had happened is he's extremely passionate about this business, like all of us on the stage. But I would be sitting in the living room or doing things around our house, and multiple times throughout the weeks, I would hear his voice at a level that I thought he was like yelling and like scolding some people on our team. And I'd always just be like, hey, how'd that meeting go? Like, tell me about that. And I noticed the volume in his office drop. And he gave this example early on in our panel discussion, but it's the tone, like bringing his voice down and leaning in. And that's made a huge change. We've had some really great growth even this week. But it's just learning there's little tweaks that are really important for all of us to learn, whether it be smiling a little bit more or a little less, a little stronger eye contact or maybe a little less, more fidgeting, maybe you're stiff as a board when you're speaking and you're like, okay, loosen up, or less fidgeting. Those are little tweaks that you can maybe learn yourself, but I also encourage you, it's so important that you intentionally invite your coach into this development journey for you. Because those little tweaks, I had to be told to smile more. But the greater things too, like you're talking about posture and influence, really comes with inviting a coach into that process. So,
I got a couple things on executive presence that I think are super critical. Number one principle when it comes to executive presence, it's not about you. It's about them. The reason I was deathly afraid of this, being on stage and talking in front of thousands of people, was because it was all about me. The reason I'm not nervous today as we sit here with the mic is because it's not about me. It's about you guys. And if I can have that, here's the shifts I make. I do things like changing the way I deliver. I do things like cleaning up my Zoom background. I do things like cutting my hair the way I cut it, cleaning up my face. Why? Because it's not about me. It's about who can I connect, what look and ability and keeping myself clean connects with the most amount of people to make the maximum impact in people's lives. All of our decisions become, how can I impact thousands of people's lives? And is this gonna help me get further and closer to that? Or is it all about Mason and my style? And I was willing to make the shifts because I wanna make a great impact. Do you guys have thoughts on that in terms of the changes?
We wanted to take it a little bit different theme here. If you are new here, when you started, right, you have a team already. You're part of your upline team, right? So now you started building team, so that your communication really, your model is you're dealing with your upline, and that's very important. And of course, you're dealing with your team too. So how you really, your action, here is your action communication, not about talking, your behavior to your upline, that's very, very important. So your action and behaviors are very, very important. So this is where actually you build team. So it's not a verbal, right? You're not really stating anything, but you know what? The impact is much more powerful, right? You are the glue. You are the connector, right? people, sometimes, value, right? They don't care about how much you know, but really they care about, they see that how much you care about them. So if you follow the first principles, right? First principles is all about, taking the value and passing on the value, right? And helping the people and, helping them to accomplish their FDS. You're thinking about the other people, their FDS, their dreams and goals, and you become a glue between your upline and your team.
Here, and I was never comfortable to speak to anyone in the beginning, and also at the same time, I was not comfortable to have any crucial conversations regarding this, right? How you can build that communication with your uplines and also with your team. So I have to really work on and step up and hone my communication skills to cultivate that mindfulness so that I can listen to them and understand where they are coming from and what they are saying and why they are saying, so that I can really help them to suggest a solution, not necessarily correcting them. And at the same time, I truly believe they are walking into to seek a solution. So I need to understand that from another person, even doing the process appointments, but also when we are taking any couple or lady or guy, anybody taking them through the process, I need to understand their emotions behind their words, why they are saying what they are saying. That's when I can effectively communicate and also help them to understand, hey, this is what it is, and you can see how you can change and overcome the challenges what you are facing through that.
Awesome.
Actually, we never comfortable with this crucial conversation, but with the Chekanama leadership, they love that. Any situation, they love to take charge, and we've seen that they come forward all the time. Our personalities was going to shell. Don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So that's the way we started. But you know what? What we realized is your success really depends on how many crucial conversation you are going to do, because it's a people business, right? You have to come forward and do that, okay? So like I said earlier, we many times we used to be silence or violence, and we have to change that.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad you guys brought this up, right? Crucial conversations on one side, connecting with the other people to the point of them liking you, them listening to you. Now you got to make sure that you are in the middle somewhere, right? How many people have spoken to people and suddenly you're buddy with them and they stop listening to you? Because you just allowed them in your friend zone, right? Can you influence your friends? Not really. So you have to take a step back, a little bit bolder about what you're talking about, not totally be likable all the time. At the same time, don't be brash on the other side, but calling out people when it is needed. And I'll give you an example, right? We're talking about at a high level, but let's give you an example. Your prospect suddenly says, oh, I cannot make it to the meeting. Can we reschedule? The likable person will say, oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I hope everything's okay. I mean, that's great, but you just lost the whole, the control over there. On the other side, flip side, you can't make it? We're only looking for accountable people, And you just blew him out again. Where do you find the fine line, right? You have to walk the fine line. It's the middle ground. Be ready to talk about it. And as I say, this cannot be done on a text message. Hey, let's talk about it. And I bring it on the voice call. And then I say, hey, normally we stick to our calendars because it's really difficult to get everybody's time together. And I'm sure emergencies happen, right? Would you say that whatever is happening right now is an emergency and that's the reason why you're asking for a reschedule? Because, and I leave it at that. Let them try to explain it and them realize that we are very accountable people. And you will never see me reschedule because we try to stick to our calendar. Right? I don't want to shove it under the rug. I don't want to pick up my sword and stab him. I want him to know, hey, we mean business over here, right?
Well and audible. Yep.
Yeah.
I think we are running out of time here. Last couple of things, guys. Your smile is your signature, all right? How people live after having conversation with you becomes your brand. Yeah. Create your brand.
Any last thought? All right, my last thought is this. If you are willing to suck at this initially, you will be the one giving the talk in the next 1 year to 2 years down the road from the stage. But be willing to suck at it and learn from it.
All right, guys?
All right, see you all.
This is a copyrighted program of The Collective, powered by Markham Man Productions, affiliated with